It is Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. This is another edition of Football Today. You know those dudes from the Talking Giants world. It is Bobby Skinner and Justin Penik. I am Chris Rose from my own little world, and we're awfully excited because we are just over 2 weeks away from the 2024 draft happening in Motown. But we're going to tell you all the answers to the test today because we are doing our first ever mock draft, and I'm sure that Skinner has been cramming all weekend for this, right, Bobby? Oh,
still got a ways to go before it's finalized. But I cranked out some first round edge rushers. Over the weekend, been getting ready to go. I'm excited for it.
and Justin, where's your biology homework?
All in the brain, all in the brain. No, but this was a lot of fun. This was a really fun exercise. And I know people love mock drafts. It's like addictive out there. I usually only do like one mock draft a year, so I'm breaking my rule, but this was a really fun exercise, and I'm more excited to see where you guys are going to be going with picks.
Oh, you're such a rule breaker, you naughty boy here. All right, here's how it's going to work. Penik is going to start us off, so he has the Bears pick. Bobby Skinner will take 2. I will take 3. We'll just keep rotating around. There can be trades made. I can't wait to see how that's going to go. I'm still confused on how we're going to do it, but the nice thing is we're all going to learn together. So with the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears are officially on the clock, Penik.
We
Caleb
should wait
Williams.
10 minutes like they do in the draft.
Caleb
Yeah,
Williams, and this was going to be my exact point of if we have to wait 10 minutes for the Chicago Bears to make the Caleb Williams pick, I am going to be upset. I am taking Caleb Williams. I think he's one of the best quarterback prospects ever. Blah, 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 blah. Chicago needs a quarterback. It makes all the sense in the world. 1-1.
Did anybody call to make a trade?
I didn't pick up the phone.
And rightfully so that he didn't pick up the phone. This guy is legit, right? We see all the craziness that he does. I was watching a defensive lineman. I was watching Brandon Dorless, a defensive lineman out of Oregon today, and you're still like, man, look at these plays that Caleb Williams makes. Look at what he's dealing with all the pressure in front of his face, and he's still able to deliver. And then you watch like the down stuff. I think he does that better than anybody else in the draft too. So he's just kind of everything that you want, and he's going into a legitimately like good situation with Chicago. Like they're not a team that had the worst record in the NFL. They had the 9th worst, obviously. They've added Keenan Allen out there. They had the 9th overall pick in this draft. I think this is a really good spot for Caleb.
All right, just real quickly, I want both your opinion in 10 seconds. Is he better than Trevor Lawrence when he was coming out in 21? Penik?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes, but it's close.
Is he better than Andrew Luck when he came out in 2012? Bobby?
I don't think so.
Penik?
No, because Andrew Luck, everybody just knew that he was going to be good. So.
Okay. Is he better than Paxton Lynch when he came? I'm kidding. Let's move on. Pick number 2 with the second pick in the 2024 draft. The Washington Commanders take.
No, I wish. I'm going Drake May. This is the guy that I've wanted. This guy's legit, right? Like he has like the basically like the arm talent of Justin Herbert, and you see the way he throws it. It looks very similar. And then he's not the same exact creator that Josh Allen is, but he plays like the way that Josh Allen does, where it's like, how did he get out of that tackle and deliver a throw? Or he's being tackled and he pitches the ball down to the running back and then has all these really, really good highlight throws. He's got to get better, right? He has the most wild misses out of all these quarterbacks, where it's like, how did you miss that wide open throw? Deep and short area. So he's not a perfect prospect, but he's someone that I would love to get my hands on and mold. So Drake May, number 2 to the Washington Commanders. And this is what we would do, not what we think is going to do.
Yes, that's very important.
Yeah. Well, so I'm curious because Merrill Hodge, he's hit a few quarterback things right on the button in recent years.
I feel like he just kind of hates all quarterbacks. Like someone brought up all like the ones that he hated, and it's like, yeah, there's the ones that suck, but there's also like some of the ones that are really good too.
Well, what he said was that Drake May is the type of guy that can get you fired because he looks the part, but at the end of the day, he cannot come through. Penik, I know that he's going to your division since you're a Giants fan. Are you worried about him joining Washington, or are you like, no big deal?
No, I'm certainly worried about it. I mean, any of these the big three quarterbacks I'm worried about as a fan of another team in the NFC East. But ultimately, what I think is going to hold Drake May back, we've talked about this before. I don't like Cliff Kingsbury, and I don't think that offense is very good. Now, I think Drake May can definitely get that ball out to the sideline and do the things that Cliff Kingsbury wants to accomplish on offense. But at the end of the day, that Washington roster is not very good. They do need a lot of work on that offensive line. The offense still needs a good amount. The team needs a good amount of work. And I just don't trust the coaching and the play calling, which we've seen context and situation ruin a lot of good quarterbacks, and at least their early part of their career and their progression.
I am up next with the third pick in the 2024 draft. The New England Patriots select Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. Okay, we're going chalk here.
Yeah, well, we have to. I mean, I know that they brought back Jacoby Brissett, and I think that he will actually start the year there. I made that call on this show about 6 weeks ago that he was going to be their guy even before he signed there. I think I understand, like, slender frame, had a ton of stars at LSU. You know who else had a ton of stars at LSU was Joe Burrow. Also won the Heisman Trophy. They need to find somebody. Mac Jones had a ton of stars at Alabama, but he didn't have close to the talent that this kid had. And so I think actually sitting behind Jacoby Brissett for at least half the year is going to help Jaden Daniels become a better pro down the line. And what is the one thing that the Patriots haven't had since they were at their peak? That is anybody worth watching on the offensive side of the football. This guy is going to at least be worth watching. So are you a little surprised that I went this direction, Bobby?
No, absolutely not. Now you own the New York Giants pick. What did you call to try and go up and get this quarterback with?
I didn't, because I couldn't get through. The Patriots have played this game publicly with Jerome Mayo. You know, I mean, we're willing to listen, and whether Elliott Wolf is making this selection or not, they know that they are in dire need. And to say, well, we'll wait a year and we'll see what it brings us next year, because we might even be top 2 next season, I think it's just the wrong way to go when there's a real strong possibility that nobody at the top of next year's draft will be this sort of talent that's available to you at 3.
All right, Justin, you're on the clock with the Arizona Cardinals.
I will be taking what is likely the best player in the draft. A lot of my picks are going to be chalk.
Most underrated player in the draft.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Nobody tried to go. Who had 11 here? Skinner? You didn't?
I have 11.
Do you want to try and jump up?
No. Maybe I could talk with the Chargers.
Maybe you'll talk with the Chargers. So then I'll be taking Marvin Harrison Jr., which some people think that is the best player in the draft. Has received high volume. It's been a guy that's been talked about as a top 5 pick for like the last 2 years. Still gets a lot of volume and still is able to produce nuances of route running. This guy's just got it. Bobby, you've been sold on Marvin Harrison for years.
Yeah, he's the most underrated player in the draft because we've known him for so long, and then he gets muddied by the quarterback talk. He's the best player in the draft to me. I mean, he's great at every area of the game, essentially. Does he have the same speed and explosion as Malik Neighbors? No, but the guy is real deal in every area of the game. So this is a slam dunk pick for me. All right, so it's pick 5 versus with the Chargers. It's my time to pick for the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, I know this is a what you would do mock, so I'm going off of the beaten path a little bit. But I think this team is – I do want to get it somewhat realistic with the picks. Chris Rose, you have the Giants' 6th pick. The Minnesota Vikings just gave me an offer. Are you going to are you wanting to trade up? Do you want to give me an offer at this or no?
Well, here's the thing. I hate to make it all about our teams, but I do remember that in 2004, Butch Davis, who was making the calls for my Cleveland Browns, moved up 1 pick to go get Kellen Winslow Jr., I think from the Detroit Lions, and he had to trade a 2nd rounder to move up 1 pick. So I am pretty much snake bitten by that. I will not be moving up 1 pick for the 4th best quarterback that I'm not sure I love. So I appreciate it. Thanks for checking in. Good luck with your draft.
Okay. So again, this is going a little bit off the beaten path of the what would you do, and I would like to put this in your hand, but I feel like we kind of have a good idea that the Minnesota Vikings are trying to trade up, and then they have the 2 first-round picks. So I, as the Los Angeles Chargers, are trading the 5th overall pick, and the Chargers. I'm in a spot where, hey, I don't really need to go get the best available player. I think we need volume on this team and to get coached up by Jim Harbaugh. Wide receiver, I would love that here, but I also could use offensive line help, but I would like the guys that are going to be there at 11. So I'm trading this to the Minnesota Vikings for pick 11, pick 23,
Woo.
a first rounder next year.
What?
And a third rounder next year.
All of that? Did you do the points chart?
No. But that's 3 first round picks to move up 6 spots. Makes sense, right?
Yes.
So I'm offering that trade. Trade not accepted. What? What's going on here?
Oh, PFF didn't even accept the trade.
Who didn't accept it?
Bobby, you're doing this with yourself. You're having an identity crisis.
I got rid of the 3rd round pick, so it's just 3 straight up firsts. So that means the Vikings are now on the clock. And even though I don't think this guy is worth it, I do know the Vikings want to get this player. And I'm taking J.J. McCarthy, who I don't think is worth a top 10 pick, but I do think will be good on the Minnesota Vikings, throwing the ball over the middle of the field, use their play action game. You have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. You have a good tackle duo. So this is the only pick I'm going to do that's not the what would you do, but I'm taking J.J. McCarthy for the Minnesota Vikings at pick 5.
Right. So
Oh, boy.
Hold on. Congratulations to J.J. McCarthy. I think
We can't hear you at all.
You can't hear me?
You were talking outside the mic and you have a low volume.
Thank you. I appreciate that. There you go. There's J.J. McCarthy. That's awesome.
If the Chargers were to stay, I would have taken Malik Neighbors, though.
Okay. That's interesting. Malik Neighbors. So the reason I wanted myself to pick 3rd and then 6th was because I want you guys to hate me for your Giants selection. So I love the hatred. I did think a little bit about trading up for J.J. McCarthy, but I just didn't feel like that's a possibility here.
Then we're not gonna hate you
Shane.
hate you as much as you think that we are.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually love you now.
Well, so now
our anxiety went away when the Vikings we got that alert that the Vikings were trading up.
Yes.
we have 2 really, really good receivers on the board staring us in the face, something that you definitely need right now. Malik Neighbors led the SEC in receptions last year. He has set the LSU record in terms of catches and yards. Last time I checked, about a decade ago or so, there was a pretty good receiver who made his way from Baton Rouge to the Meadowlands. Now, it may not have ended perfectly, but man, oh man, those first few years were as exciting as we've seen offensive football in the Meadowlands a long, long time. I can't pass it up. I have to do Malik Neighbors. I have to.
So we love you. I mean, I've done 3 mock drafts this year for the Giants. One during the bye week, one before free agency, and then one last week. Malik Neighbors has been it in the last 2. The other one was Jaden Daniels when there was a thought that he could be there at 6. So yeah, we're on board with it. The only thing that gives me a little bit of pause is Malik Neighbors did have a gun charge. It got dropped, but when you look at the details, it very much looks like LSU football player got let off the hook a little bit. You do worry about that because you have that does make you think about Romo Dunes, but Malik Neighbors would be the pick if I was there. That's the one I'm hoping for the New York Giants.
Well, there was that report recently that said some teams are hesitant if he comes to a big-time city that he's going to kind of lose his way. Listen, you can get in trouble in any city in the NFL, including Green Bay, Wisconsin. So that sort of stuff, I don't know who puts that out there. I don't know if it's other teams that are trying to get a hold of him, have him slip a little bit, all that sort of stuff. I don't listen to it. So there you go. You guys are welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right,
Penik.
Justin, you're on the clock with the Titans.
Now, there's a voice in the room that is really, really concerned about this next pick, where the room is divided a little bit. Where obviously the majority of the people in the Titans organization want to go Joe Alt and they want to go tackle. But there's a scout who is adamant on that Joe Alt is too top heavy. And we've seen tackles in the past, despite have size, despite have speed and all the athleticism, we've seen tackles struggle in the NFL that are too top heavy. Bobby Skinner, what are you telling that scout?
Draft Olu.
But then that impacts my next pick. So I'm going to be taking Joe Alt because the GM is going to win out and that voice is not going to win. Thinking about Rome, and hey, that could be a really awesome trio of wide receivers. Screw Traylon Burks. It could be a really awesome trio of wide receiver with Ridley, with DeAndre Hopkins and Rome. Thinking about that, if Malik Neighbors was there, would have taken Neighbors over Alt, but we got our franchise tackle in Joe Alt. The Titans are happy, and Titans fans are happy too. This is the player that's mocked in like 90% of mock drafts to the Titans.
Yeah, they desperately need offensive line help. Then you get Alt and Skorensky next to each other. Tennessee needs to take care of that offensive line. They need to take care of Will Levis, so... solid job taking offensive line. All right, now I'm on the clock with the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm so excited for this pick. I know with Falcons from the outside in, a lot of people are like, ooh, you know it'd be fun? Add another weapon over there, right? They've got all these weapons, add another weapon. Here's what they need and what they really sucked at last year. Pass rush.
Yep.
And I'm taking my edge one in this class. And I'm going FSU's Jared Verse.
Yes, I'm so glad you have him over Dallas Turner. Yes.
He's
awesome.
bigger. He's got power. Like, he's going to be a two-way player. I think his pass rush, for some reason, is being underrated just because he's kind of got the stereotype of, like, oh, he's a power guy. You know, go watch him and Dallas Turner versus LSU. Common opponent. Jared Verse looked better in that game. I like my defensive ends to have that power element, and the other stuff you can get better at as you go. It's hard to add power late in your career. And, hey, Dallas Turner has some, but Jared Verse is my edge one, and I'm adding him to the Atlanta Falcons. We're trying to get some pass rush in the ATL.
I think there's people in the Bears room that are really pissed about that. They wanted Jared Verse.
Well, I will speak on behalf of the Bears since we're up at 9. Yes, there's no question that Jared Verse is an outstanding football player, right? He led that defense all the way to the cusp of the playoffs, and had they had a healthy quarterback, he would have been playing in the playoffs. The Bears, though, listen, we're in great shape. We just got our franchise quarterback earlier tonight. We feel good. Here's the thing. I think Ryan Poles is going to try and get out of here. Even if Rome Odunze is available at 9, I really think, you know how many picks they've got in the draft this year?
5.
4. They've got 4 picks, 2 in the first 9, and then they don't have another one till 75, and then they got one later in the draft. I'm trying to think if there's a team that would be willing to trade up for Rome Odunze.
I mean, let's look at the board. We got would the Jets be willing to do that? I mean, that's one pick. You know, the Charger, I do own the Chargers pick. We could wheel and deal a little bit. Broncos, Raiders, Saints, Colts, Seahawks,
Well, the next one I've got, because I think you're onto something, somebody wants to hop ahead of the Jets because I feel like the Jets are going to take, right? All they've got is Garrett Wilson. So they need somebody else to help immediately. And Rome Odunze, great, amazing kid, great talent. So who would want to hop ahead of him? The only team I could find would be the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, are they willing to move up 9 spots to go get Rome Odunze and pair him with Jamar Chase and deal T. Higgins?
To the would this be like a 3-team trade where there's like another team that's involved for Higgins, or are we trading Higgins to the Bears?
Well, that's the possibility. What team? The only thing I'm thinking out loud here is that some team that wanted a shot at a good receiver, there's maybe 5 that are off the board by the time they're picking in the 20s, and might call the Cincinnati Bengals and say, I'll give you a first next year for T. Higgins or something. I don't know. That's the only thing I'm hanging out here for. I don't see the Bengals moving up 9 spots to get Chicago's pick. So I'm going to hang here, and Dallas Turner is not a bad consolation prize. I mentioned about the picks. Yeah, I'm bummed that I can't pick up another selection somewhere else. But we need help rushing the passer. As good as that defense was the second half of last season, they were second to last in the league in sacks, last in sack percentage. Put Dallas Turner opposite Montez Sweat. Let them go to work. It's not a terrible thing. So there you go.
Yeah, and Dallas Turner's kind of like the bigger, stronger type edge, where Dallas Turner's going to bring that speed. So it's a good like combination. So a lot of Bears people want Rome.
Yeah.
Don't you think it'd be tough to add him to like you have DJ Moore, right? We love DJ Moore. Keenan Allen, obviously not the long haul there, but they did trade for him to bring him in there. I just feel like that's a lot of resources into the wide receiver room when like you said, they need edge. There's holes on that team that they need. And
not only that, Bobby, at 75, they could get a damn good receiver that would be a great third receiver his rookie year. So that was kind of my thinking. But Rome Odunze is still on the board for the Jets at 10. Hi, Penik.
Yeah, Justin, your New York Jets.
My New York Jets.
Hold them back.
My on paper AFC East champions.
Bo Nix.
Now, here's the thing. I was walking into this draft thinking, Olu Fashanu, you're a New York Jet, and I am really pumped about that. Don't you click that button, Mikey. I'm walking into this draft thinking, Olu, you're a Jet, and I'm debating. I'm debating right now. I don't know if I want Odunze, or I don't know if I want Olu, because we do have Morgan Moses. Just signed Tyron Smith. Obviously, none of those are long-term answers, but we're all in this year. We're going to stick with our board, and we're going to stick with our philosophy of getting the tackle. Olu Fashanu, you're going to be a really good tackle, a young, athletic tackle. Give me Olu.
By the way, it's Fashanu. We found that out at the Combine. And so for 24 hours, we were all mispronouncing it by putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Oh, nice.
So just so everybody welcomes Olu to the building in style.
So is he playing behind Tyron Smith to start the season?
No, he's the right tackle.
What about Morgan Moses?
Swing. Or it's a battle. Competition.
So you're going to take left to right when you have Romo. I feel like you're trolling Jets fans back, and I respect that. So I have the Chargers with the 11th pick.
I mean, this is incredible, Bobby.
This trade worked out way better than I thought. Because when I made this trade, I wanted offensive line, and I had Tyrese Fuaga in my head, right? Because we already have Rashawn Slater as the left tackle, so we don't have to play around and move a guy from left to right. He also has that guard flexibility, which could be like he has no pressure to play, right tackle or right guard. You can put Zion Johnson on the left side. And so I'm taking Tyrese Fuaga, right? But Romo Dunze fell, right? And I was considering Malik. Like, if I would have had to stay at pick 5, I'm taking Malik Neighbors. So Romo Dunze is the pick versus the Chargers. They lost Mike Williams. They lost Keenan Allen. They need to add wide receiver talent. I know they drafted Quentin Johnston last year. We don't know how that's going to work out. I'm going Rome. I cannot believe that when I traded away from pick 5, I'm getting this player.
That's incredible. Joe Ortiz should be executive of the year just based on that move. I don't care whether they finish 5-12 or 10-7 or whatever. That's a hell of a move, dude.
Thank you. We work hard. We're trying to rebuild this franchise.
Yeah. Okay. Now I have no idea how to do this on the trade tracker thing, so somebody's going to have to help me out. I am with the Denver Broncos at 12, who we have talked about on this show have the worst quarterback situation. The top 4 guys are gone. I thought McCarthy would have been a great fit for Sean Payton. I feel like this is too early for Bo Nix, Michael Penix. So I am accepting a trade from the Miami Dolphins, who are moving up 9 spots. I have no idea how I'm going to get this done, except that obviously I'm giving up 21. I'm going to give up a first rounder next year as well. And there's probably some other pick I've got to give up. But I can't do the math quite well enough to make it
just
happen.
put it in there and try.
Holy smokes. How do I do this? For goodness sakes.
You go to
Somebody
trade.
help me.
Click trade.
All right, hold on.
We can I can do it for you, and then
Yes.
you can just kind of fill it in as it goes and just pretend that it's the
That's-
Miami Dolphins making the pick.
That's what I've been doing. I've been just filling it in as the other
So
team.
I'm gonna offer. So you want me to offer our pick number 12 and next year's first and see if they take it?
Yeah.
Says they are not interested, and they declined it.
Oh,
Well, we have to throw in something else.
We want to throw in our third.
you got a fourth?
Yeah, I got 158. What is that?
They accepted it.
They
Oh.
did?
Mm-hmm.
So we traded our 21st, a first rounder next year, and pick 158, correct?
So the Broncos traded away. The Broncos get so I guess it's the Dolphins that didn't want to do it. Anyways, yeah, the Broncos have the Dolphins first round pick. I screwed this up. Anyways, the Dolphins are on the clock, is long story short of this.
Okay, thank you. We are going to take, because if you look at our depth chart on the offensive line, Keon Smith is listed as the starting right tackle. These guys played like 70 snaps in the NFL. I know Austin Jackson was a high draft pick of theirs a few years ago. That has not worked out. Fuaga is on the board. We need a right tackle. I want an animal. He's my animal. I want to keep Tua and that backside protected. I'm in. I'm drafting him.
Alice Waga.
So
All
there
right,
you
Justin.
go.
All right, get some offensive line help for Tua and then whoever their future quarterback is. I like it.
Man, the Raiders are a little frustrated because they lost their starting tackle in free agency. They were thinking about Fuaga, but there's another player that I think Patrick Graham would love. And this is personally one of my favorite players in this draft. And that's Quinyon Mitchell.
Ooh, man, you're making this hard for the Saints.
No FBS cornerback, and this is from the PFF Draft Guide, forced more incompletions over the past 2 seasons than Mitchell. Patrick Graham does like his corners that can make plays on the football. He did so while playing an off-coverage role in a cover 3 heavy scheme, and that's what Patrick Graham has been running. He would align himself 8 to 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, keep his eyes on the quarterback, and wait to pounce. And Quinyon Mitchell is fast. He's one of the fastest players in this draft as well, one of the more athletic guys in this draft, and he checks the benchmark of having arms longer than 30 inches. He's not insanely long, but he has arms that are longer than 30 inches, and that's what it usually takes to be successful in the NFL. So I'm feeling really, really good about that for my Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay.
Michael
All right,
Penix
so now the
was
Saints
on the
are
board.
on the board.
I'm
They,
just saying.
so
Did you think about Penix at all?
No, I like Quinyon Mitchell that much. The Raiders will think about Michael Penix, but I love Quinyon Mitchell that much. I think he's going to be a stud.
So the Saints are on the board, and they are in a very weird spot. There's so many positions that they can take. They wanted a tackle, right? You know, Trevor Penning hasn't worked out the great. Ryan Ramczyk is dealing with injuries. You know, they drafted Brian Brzee in the first round last year. Corner is like the one position they really don't need to address. So, hey, J.C. Latham would be a force pick right here, maybe you really like him. But I'm the Saints, and I'm just going to not overthink this. I'm taking a guy who's a top 5 player in the draft at pick 14, and I'm getting Brock Bowers off the board.
Wow.
I am the Saints. We are in a weird spot. Could we fill need? Sure. But I'm just going to take the best player available and understand that we are not a tackle away. We're going to be probably up high in the draft next year. And maybe that's where we get our offensive lineman or quarterback. But for the Saints right now, I'm not worrying about need that much and just taking the best player available that fell to me.
That's like the Baltimore Ravens philosophy to a T, except that they're not a crappy team.
Maybe we wonder why. We wonder why they're not a crappy team. We're always praising their drafts because they just take the best players.
All right, so I'm back up at 15. I've got the Indianapolis Colts, who were oh so close to making the playoffs last year. They were very quiet in free agency with the exception of bringing back a lot of their own guys, right? Michael Pittman came back. Kenny Moore II came back. Even though, he's a slot guy, they still need help, in my opinion, on the outside. Juju Brents is a guy that they picked in the second round. When he was on the field, he was fairly productive. They still need help. Terrion Arnold is a guy who arguably could have been the first corner off the board. No problem with Quinyon Mitchell being the first guy at all. But Terrion Arnold is a stud. I love his makeup. He's physical. He's a ball hawk. He can do a lot of things here. I think it makes a ton of sense in this division where you're going to have to deal with C.J. Stroud and Trevor Lawrence. Why not? Let's go have 3 good, solid corners. To me, it's a no-brainer.
So Chris Ballard just, had to eat himself alive because there was a 6'4" wide receiver on the board, and he always takes the 99th percentile of height.
Huh.
Like, it's a meme. Like last year in our draft stream, every single draft pick was like 99th percentile and height every single time. You mentioned Juju Brent, 6'3" corner. Everybody is 6'3" or above on that roster.
That'll help our intramural hoops team. I can't wait to see how we do this offseason.
All right, Justin, the Seahawks are on the board.
A lot of people want Latu, right? Edge rusher from UCLA. One of the best win rate, overall win rate in the nation, and then also in true pass sets, one of the best win rates. But he has an injury history, has some baggage attached to him. There's also some people in the room that want an interior offensive lineman. Now, you see, there's tackles that are available, but Bobby Skinner are the voices in the room that say Troy Fautanu is an interior offensive lineman in the NFL. How right is that? How wrong is that? What do you think?
I think he can be both, right? At one point you thought that, but the Seahawks are in a place where they could probably play that game and see how it works out because they can move him inside, keep Abe Lucas at right tackle if it doesn't work out. Charles Cross has been okay as a pro. He's been up and down. But yeah, it would be smart for them to add offensive line help.
And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I will be taking Fautanu. Latu, the injury questions, that's the thing that's mainly giving me pause. He's really, really good with his hands, and whoever takes him is going to get a good player. But I want more of a sure thing. We see how these interior guys are getting paid. And yeah, Fautanu's a tackle, but I'm going to be playing him and getting him for the interior. Little shorter for the tackle side.
Well, you know what else is nice, Penik, is that you're saving on moving expenses for your first-round pick. He could probably still stay in the dorms.
Yeah.
So that's very nice. He's a good player, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's fun to watch on film. Like, there's no doubt that he's going to have pass rush production. It's just kind of a question of, like, what his ceiling will be. But, like, the way he rushes the passer, like, he's going to be someone who racks up box score stats.
I'm taking Fautanu, not Latu.
Yeah.
You're talking about pass rush guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking of talking to Latu for some reason. So the Jags are on the clock, and the Jags have the most mid roster in the NFL. Like, you go look at their depth chart, and it's like, that's not really a need, but it's not great. And then, like, the one positions that they do need, is there a player there? So what I'm going to do with the Jacksonville Jaguars is I'm going to go against what we've done and just adding up length, size. I'm going to add Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle out of Illinois. We need to stop worrying about, Trayvon. Oh, look at the size profile of Trayvon Walker. No, let's just go get a pass rusher. in the middle, we have Josh Allen, who's really good. We signed Eric Armstead. Let's get Johnny Newton out there. Let's get after the passer as a Jacksonville Jaguars team. Duval, let's get a pass rusher. But there was no like slam dunk pick here for me, so I just went best player available.
A good player. He's yeah, they're weird. I think your description of where their organization is, you nailed it. You nailed it. Let's go on to the Cincinnati Bengals, who are at 18, and I've got them.
Now, Chris, I'm gonna give you a call from 19 with the Los Angeles Rams. I'm interested to see where you're thinking and where you may go in terms of who you want to prioritize in the first round, because depending on what you may do, I may give you some picks to swap and to jump up.
What do you got?
Well, that's not how it works. You got to tell him who are you trading up for?
Yeah,
I want to trade up for Byron Murphy.
Well, it's so interesting you said that, because we are about to turn in the name of Byron Murphy.
Oh, no.
We're very close to do. Now, we're not quite done with it, because obviously we kicked around the idea of moving up from 18 to 9. That was really kind of short-lived since Odunze was still on the board. We always keep hearing we're adding offensive linemen. Well, we added Trent Brown the off season. So we've already got Orlando Brown on the other side. We're good at guard and tackle and center, I mean. So really the one area where I feel like we need something is the interior of the defensive line. DJ Reader's gone. They did add Sheldon Rankins and BJ Hill. I mean, I'm always willing to listen, because what are you offering?
And, I'm not really great with this trade chart thing. It's why I'm not an NFL GM.
Well, that and several other 100,000 reasons.
This is very true. Now, the Rams have a lot of picks, lo and behold. 52, 83, 99, 154, 155. They have 4 comp picks towards the end of the draft, 99 being one of them. I'll give you pick 99, pick 155, and a 4th rounder for next year. I don't even know if that's worth it.
You're overshooting your runway, I do believe. I think that's probably
But he wants the same player that you want to draft, so he's got to make it worth your while.
I know he does. So that sounds amazing, but I'm just, I would
hanging
love
up the phone.
If Johnny Newton was still on the board, I would say yes to the trade, but I don't, because I mean the Bengals are pretty well suited here. Now, could I go receiver if you wanted your defensive tackle? What the hell? We'll accept the trade. We're taking picks. We're taking picks.
You want to know what? I'm going to reply to you and be like, you got Brian Thomas Jr. on the board, and you just traded away T. Higgins, didn't you?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
Not yet.
We're accepting the trade, and I'm now on the clock?
Rams are on the clock with pick 18.
You are on the clock.
I'm taking Byron Murphy. Give me Aaron Donald retires, and we're hoping that this guy who's explosive, he's big, he's fast, and we're hoping that he could take the place of Aaron Donald. That's the point.
And
that's
I got to tell you, you put him next to Kobe Turner, who had a really nice rookie season as a 3rd rounder out of Wake. All of a sudden, we're in business in the interior there with the Rams.
Yes.
Not terrible. So I just moved back 1 pick, and I picked up pick 99 and a 4th rounder next year, and
pick 155 this year from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, great. I can't wait to make that selection. And you're right. The Bengals had a couple of directions to go. So they could have gone interior defensive line, but Brian Thomas Jr. is the correct answer. Like Joe Burrow, like Jamar Chase, he makes the move from Baton Rouge. I don't believe he was there when Burrow was lifting Heismans and smoking stogies, but he's very much worth the selection.
Well, that just messed up the Pittsburgh Steelers, because that's who they were eyeing. We got rid of Deontay Johnson. We need another wide receiver in here. And that got me off that got us Pittsburgh Steelers off our game with pick 20. So we're having to pivot.
Ah.
Lot 2 is tempting. Oh, but they have TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. Yes, but guess what? We are the guys that make the most out of these guys, right? Similar types of picks. But we're not going to do that. We've got big money locked up into both those guys. We could add offensive line. We know the Steelers could use all the help that they have over there. We drafted Joey Porter in the first round last year, so we could go corner, but it's not the biggest need. We're gonna go wide receiver though. We're gonna go A.D. Mitchell out of Texas.
Adonai Mitchell
out of Texas. So we're going wide receiver. We wanted Brian Thomas Jr., but we're gonna settle with A.D. Mitchell out of Texas. Really good route runner. Get those in breakers going. Give the new QBs some help, and hopefully we're in a spot to pick a quarterback next year, and they've got hopefully a wide receiver 1 ready to go.
Smart pick. I am up, and look who's on the clock. Now, interesting, go back to earlier in tonight's mock draft. The Chargers moved out of 5, moved back to 11, and still got the player that they wanted and got a haul in picks. Well, let's remember, it wasn't all that long ago where the Miami Dolphins called the Denver Broncos and said, we would like to move up 9 spots. That's what happened. They gave him a boatload, including a 1 for next year for an offensive tackle, and it worked. And Denver still is going to get a quarterback.
How about that?
Bo Nix, welcome to Denver. I hope you enjoy your time with Sean Payton. You only started 178 games in college, so you should be ready to go at some point. Good luck in taking on Jared Stidham.
So Bo Nix is a very good fit with Denver. Are you like me and liking Bo Nix more than Michael Penix?
I am not. I like Michael Penix. I think that he fits, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Raiders try to trade back in to the end of the first round to go get him. But I didn't see him with Sean Payton.
Okay. All right, Justin, your Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock.
My Philadelphia Eagles. I'd say cornerback is the biggest position in need, right? And there's 3 of them on the board.
Chargers feel good hearing that.
But also the Eagles, Ty Roseman, haven't taken a corner since, the highest that they've taken corner, in his tenure is, in the 4th round. But I'm not Howie Roseman. I'm Justin Penik. A lot of people probably screaming at me having a bad draft. I would like Nate Wiggins.
The speedster out of Clemson. How about that? Off the board to the Philadelphia Eagles. Good speed fit. All right. The Chargers, we're sitting here is it going to happen? Is it really going to happen? Did we have a guy that we were considering at 5 fall to us to pick 11, and then a guy we are considering at pick 11 fall to us to pick 23? We're getting J.C. Latham out of Alabama, who I'm not the biggest fan on, but he's a perfect fit as a run blocker for Jim Harbaugh. And draft shows on Friday morning, our show was talking about who won the draft, and we're talking about the Los Angeles effing Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, Joe Ortiz. They worked the draft the right way. They're bringing the Ravens style, and they got 2 guys they were considering with their initial picks. And we're getting J.C. Latham to go join here with Rome Odunze. We're taking care of Justin Herbert. We're running the damn ball. J.C. Latham, true right tackle.
Yeah. I mean, Harbaugh came out and had that amazing soundbite at the meeting back in March where he said offensive line is the only position where everybody else relies on, and in order to be successful. So the fact that they would, if they are able to pull off what you pulled off today, that's amazing. That would be amazing. Really cool.
Speaking into existence, Chargers fans.
Okay, so the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. Well, we know they need a running back, but we're not running back people in the first round this year. Would have been last year, but not this year. So where do we go? They need help on their interior offensive line. As of right now we know that they lost Tyron Smith. Goodbye after 13 years there or whatever. But as of right now, their center is Brock Hoffman, who's made 2 career starts. And their left guard is TJ Bass, whom they're very high on. But he only has 2 career starts. So can we get somebody who's got a little bit of a track record? And I'm going to go with a guy who played tackle at Duke, but we're moving him inside. Bobby Skinner, are you excited that Graham Barton is going to Arlington, Texas?
I thought you were going to go Jackson Powers Johnson because that seems right there, but I do like Graham Barton more than JPJ. This is a good fit. Dallas will put him in the right spot. You know, they lost Tyler Biadasz, and Graham Barton goes in there. Dallas does it right. They take care of their offensive line. If they lose one, they replace him. So good pick for the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. Penik.
The run on interior offensive linemen has begun. The Packers only have like 3 interior guys on the roster right now. And I will be taking Jackson Powers Johnson for the Green Bay Packers.
Bobby, why do you like Barton at center over this guy?
Well, both those guys can play guard, but Barton can move out to tackle in a pinch. I just think he plays much better I know Jackson Powers Johnson has like really good film as pass protector, but he didn't get challenged a ton at the center spot. I just think he's got more balance. I think he's better at the beginning of the rep, where JPJ is great at recovering, but Barton's never really put in a spot to recover because he does so well. And if he does, he figures it out. I think he's got quicker feet. I just like Graham Barton a little bit. I have them both as like B+ rated players, but I do have Barton over JPJ.
You're up.
All right, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So what we're going to do, hey, we take chances over here in Tampa Bay. We're getting a guy who was the best pass rusher in college football last year, right? We have Joe Tryon. You know, we had Yaya Diaby have a good rookie year. We drafted Kalijah Kancey last year, my draft crush. We're getting Latu to go with him, right? We're gonna try and generate consistent pass rush in Tampa Bay. That's what we like to do. That's how we won a Super Bowl 2 different times. We're getting Latu at pick 26, and we're feeling really good about it.
Yeah, that's a great pick. You know who's not really happy about that?
The Arizona Cardinals, who have no pass rushers.
That would be the Arizona Cardinals, who literally have 0 pass rushers. 0. They allowed the 2nd most points in the league. They had the 3rd fewest sacks in the league. Those aren't good stats. And Latu was sitting right there. And so Monty Ossenfort is freaking throwing a gasket right now. He probably took a phone and just threw it against the wall. Got to be honest with you. So where do we go? We could go corner. There's some interesting guys on the board in Cooper DeJean, who just had his own workout. He came back from I think it was a broken leg, and put up some great numbers. That kid's going to test great. And he's a really good player. Kool-Aid McKinstry, it feels like a little too early for him, but it's close. It's really close. I think he's right on the edge of being in the end of the 1st round. What do you think, Bobby? Have you done any work on him?
On Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
I've watched him a little casual. I haven't done the full write-up, but I've watched him against, the LSUs of the world.
Okay.
But I have the next pick, so I'm not showing my hand on what I want.
No, you don't. Penik's got the next pick.
I have 2 picks from now, so I'm not showing you my hand on who I want.
You know what? We're what the hell? We're gonna go for it. All right, Cooper DeJean. Welcome to Arizona. Help us in the return game too, a little bit, kid.
Oh man.
You didn't like that?
No, I wanted him for my Buffalo Bills.
Come on.
I did. The medicals checked out. We really like the workouts. The makeup of the kid is good. He's a really good athlete. We wanted him in Buffalo.
Okay.
Oh,
sorry.
Man.
Gets
So
tough,
where are we
doesn't
going
it?
in Buffalo?
Where are we going in Buffalo? We really need a receiver, but is reaching for It may not even be a reach. Ladd McConkey, Troy Franklin, or Roman Wilson.
Reach.
It's a reach, right? It's a reach.
There's one player who might be a reach, but would make sense as a reach.
Wouldn't
If you're
Ladd
looking for a
McConkey
wide receiver.
Wouldn't Ladd McConkey make sense?
I'm not as high on Ladd McConkey as other people, especially for Buffalo.
Troy Franklin is long. He's thin. Need a tackle too. You know what? Big pause.
What?
No, I don't know what. Give me
Clock's running out.
Mims.
Marius Mims.
Marius Mims.
Marius
Not
Mims.
the sexy pick, but a good pick for Buffalo. They need to. They haven't. They took Osiris Torrance in the second round last year, but they do need offensive line help despite the glaring need for wide receiver. I really think the second and third round is where it'll make sense for Buffalo to get their wide receiver. Whether it's Troy Franklin, someone who can drop. If it could be a Javon Baker, I think that's where they'll do their best instead of unless A.D. Mitchell or Brian Thomas fall. But if those five guys are off the board, I don't think the Bills should force wide receiver here. So I like the pick.
I also think that this is an area where teams are going to be calling. I have to be honest with you. I think that this is what do we pick 28. So we got 5 picks left in the first round. There are still a bunch of offensive linemen on the board that some people might want to get their hands on. This could be an area.
So we at the Detroit Lions, we're hosting the NFL draft. Our fans are going nuts. They're coming off of a division title. We came so close to the Super Bowl. Our fans groaned a little bit when Cooper DeJean went off the board, but this team needs secondary badly, and we have a type. We like length, so we're gonna get Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. We're gonna bring in some length here. We're gonna get him coached up. We're gonna keep him ready to go. We had some bums playing DB for us in the playoffs, so we're gonna add Kool-Aid McKinstry from the Crimson Tide.
Good one. I was thinking about him for Arizona at 27. All right, this is my last pick of this mock draft, the Baltimore Ravens. To me, this is an easy one. Now, we said earlier in the draft, one of the reasons that Baltimore has been so good is they just take the best player available. Like, they don't do it based on need. However, last time I checked, you still need 5 offensive linemen at the beginning of each offensive snap, or at least you should. They don't have that they can rely on. They lost 60% of their starting offensive line. They also do need a third corner, so you can kick that around a little bit. But I've got to go with Tyler Guyton. He's a dude that you guys saw up close and personal at the Senior Bowl.
Very good Senior Bowl.
Yeah, he's really an interesting – he's a great athlete. He doesn't have a lot of starts under his belt. I think right around 15 or so starts. But why not? You got to go for him. Makes sense opposite Ronnie Stanley on that team.
This is one I see happening in real life, so I like it.
Are you saying that the rest of my picks are all living in a fantasy world?
I'm just saying this one is one that like has been forecasted for a while. Like they're gonna go tackle. Guyton seems like the type of guy that they would like to get their hands on. So Guyton. All right, so Justin, your last pick for the San Francisco 49ers, the team that has, all the riches in the world.
All the riches in the world. I know they may need offensive line, but you know what? I'm going to go with the player that he was supposed to be at the Senior Bowl, but I really like. That's Mike Sainristil. You are a San Francisco 49er. I like him. I think he's just a really good football player. I think he sticks with guys really well. I think his technique is really good. And you are going to be a first-round pick for the 49ers.
Well, listen, when you heard Jim Harbaugh talk about him or Jesse Minter talk about him, they couldn't say enough amazing things about him, right? Like, that is the dude on a defense where you're going to see a bunch of players taken over the first 2 days of the draft. That's our guy. That is our leader. He is. So that's fascinating, though. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I like him, but I don't know if I like him in the first round. All right, so the Kansas City Chiefs, you're defending Super Bowl champions. You know, they added Hollywood Brown, right? If we didn't add Hollywood Brown, I would probably consider Xavier Worthy here out of Texas, but I think they're both very similar players. By the way, I was really high on Xavier Worthy coming into this past season, and then watching his most recent film, it actually lowered me on a little bit. Like, he really did struggle with press and some other facets of his game, but he still is really good. But we need someone that's going to keep us on schedule, who can work outside and inside. And I'm actually higher on this guy than I am Lad McConkey. Now, him and Roman Wilson, I view very, very similarly. I'm going Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver from the Florida Gators. How about that?
Holy smokes.
I'm a Ricky Pearsall guy. The guy can play ball. He can win on the outside. He can win in the slot. He can win at all three levels of the field. I'm going Ricky Pearsall from the Florida Gators.
That's amazing.
I just don't like the talent that's like left over for me at this point. You know, outside of that position.
Over Roman Wilson, huh?
Yeah, they're very close to me. They're very, very close to me. But I think Ricky Pearsall might give me a little bit more of a outside, vertical. Not the best burn in the world, but I think he gives us a little more of a vertical threat.
All right, so this is our first ever draft that we have done together. First of all, it is terrifying once you get outside of your first two picks. This is way different than anything else. You're like, oh my God, this is happening so fast. So when you're watching the draft and it's like 10 minutes on the clock, like, oh my God, can we just move it along? But it is, imagine like putting in all of the work that you put in for the draft, and then somebody goes like 2 picks ahead of you. And you're like, oh my God, what's our backup? It must be just such a shit show in those places.
Oh, we don't have to imagine it. We live it every year in our draft streams. Guys we're rooting for. They don't take the guy you want sometimes. Now, usually the Giants are very high up, so we've got a good idea of what we're getting. But hey, I'm going to be anxious on draft night of J.J. McCarthy because I don't want him for the Giants. I am hoping that the Minnesota Vikings make that call.
How about a little exercise here? Let's say your first 2 picks, so anything after 6, from 7 on down, which pick do you feel most comfortable is actually going to come true? Penik, give me one.
Is it that it's actually going to come true?
Yes.
After the first
your picks.
Yeah, I mean, I think Olu is a Jet. I'm pretty sold on that. That was my second pick.
That was your third pick.
Third pick, excuse me.
What was it? Third?
That was my third, yeah, because Titans was second. I'm pretty sure Olu's going to be a Jet.
Yeah.
Mine most comfortable that's going to happen. You know what? I'll say Kool-Aid to the Lions.
Makes sense.
I don't think Rome actually falls to the Chargers. Now, I could just say J.C. Latham, and maybe they pick him earlier, but that's... Or, you know what? The Vikings with J.J. McCarthy might be the... Actually, no, that was one of the first 2 picks. Never mind.
I'm going to say one of my offensive linemen. I like either Graham Barton to Dallas because he's so versatile.
Yeah.
That they could plug him in a bunch of different areas. And I think that Tyler Guyton's going to be available there at the end of the first round, as you mentioned, Bobby, for the Ravens. And it seems to make so it's fun. If some of this stuff really happens, like if the Chargers scenario or the Broncos scenario actually happens, and those guys get the people that they might have even wanted where they originally were, that's the sort of stuff that's fun.
5 QBs in the first round. So I do think 5 go in the first round. I think someone's going to take either Penik or Nixon in the first round.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have a couple more kind of heavy draft shows coming up, and then we'll be breaking down what happened on Thursday night in another episode.
Yeah.
All right, boys, keep your draft eyes peeled. This was a lot of fun. It was weird at times. Next season, we're going to get that trade machine to work a little bit easier for some of us challenged people, but don't worry, we'll print out our draft charts, point charts, and we'll be good to go. For our amazing producer, Mikey, who throws this whole thing together, and the boys from the Talking Giants world of Penik and Skinner, I am Chris Rose. We will see you later this week, Friday, on Football Today.